Now to the arts. We pride ourselves on Weekend World on being culture vultures. Recently we brought Picasso to our screens. Now we're going to look at Chopin. Our presenter Marita Alban-Juarez has been on a journey through Poland where Chopin was born to see how he has encouraged and inspired there, but also around the world. And here's a preview.
It's very intimate. It's not about projecting. It was never made for a big hall or anything, you know. It was just a sound for a small room or a salon.
With me is Donald Macleod, a presenter on the BBC's classical music station Radio 3. Thank you very much indeed for coming along.
It's a pleasure.
And was it a pleasure for you to watch this film?
Hugely, yes. I mean, this is one of the best films about classical music I think I've ever seen, really. So many of them are rather pretentious and off-putting, and they kind of assume a certain amount of knowledge. Or one of my horrors is that they dress people up in costumes and have them act out various things. There's just none of that sort of stuff at all.
Did you learn something about Chopin? You said Chopin, which tells me already that there's a division between us. But did you learn something new?
Yes, I learned a number of things, really. I kind of assumed that every Pole had polonaises and mazurkas drummed into them at an early age. But even this incredibly talented jazz pianist that we met, who's obviously a really phenomenal performer, hadn't gone down that route, hadn't been made to do it, though he comes out with this fascinating line that he didn't think it would do any harm to force people to learn Chopin's music. But he'd resisted it, I think, maybe because, I'm trying to think of any kind of equivalent. As a Scot, you know, I wasn't forced to do Scottish country dancing, but I enjoy it anyway. And that wasn't forced to play the bagpipes in any kind of a cliched way. But when he then came to examine it, he found that it was as if he already knew it. That there's something essentially Polish about the music.
And for people who are watching without an express interest, is Chopin's music everywhere in the background, even if you don't go looking for it?
It's used all the time in endless adverts and yes, in all sorts of forms. It's used as a shorthand for a certain kind of romantic passion or sometimes sentimental slush.
Really? So it is there, because one of the films the film shows you is the merging of musical cultures, not just the country, Poland, but the styles. And there's an extraordinary sequence which seems to imply Chopin had swing.
Well, absolutely. I think he certainly swung in the way this guy Leszek Moździerz plays it. I thought it was absolutely phenomenal, really virtuosic stuff. I think that's one of the elements of this kind of his continuing fame that probably Chopin would have been very pleased with. I'm not sure about the general commercialism. I think he'd have had a huge distaste for that, because he was a very fastidious and precious man.
An artist. So with that in mind, if he'd been alive today, who would he be?
That's very different. I mean, the answer is no one.
Yeah.
Partly because there are, with all due respect to someone like John McCabe, there are no great composer pianists anymore. The world, the intellect of man is forced to choose either to be a famous pianist or a famous composer, but you can't really do both. That's not really an option. So I was trying to think what kind of modern equivalent would there be, and I guess it would be singer-songwriter. And then I was trying to think who would be moody and difficult and sulky enough to fit the bill, and I guess it's Morrissey.
Oh, really? Morrissey? Because listening to you, I thought you were going to say Sondheim. But then he's not moody and irascible, is he?
Oh, yes, he is.
Oh, is he? Oh, well, that's another programme. Come back.
That's one of the most difficult interviews I've ever done.
Oh, if you like me and you want to hear that explained, then do let me know in the obvious place. So this programme, all about Chopin, or Chopin if you prefer, is on in 5:10 on Sunday afternoon if you're watching in Warsaw.